Hey guys, today we are going to be looking at the Takara Brave Police J. Decker gift set. I don't know what you'd call this. Um, so let me explain what J. Decker is. Or Brave. Some people may know Takara Brave. Basically, during the 90s, Takara, they had a bunch of toys laying around, toy designs laying around because they were going to continue the Transformers or G1 when um like Hasbro, they were like cars, trucks, you know, G2 had already flopped by then. They had already canceled G2 and they were moving on to Beast Wars. So but Takara was still behind them, and they were still uh, designing the conventional toys, cars, trucks, planes, everything like that before Beast Wars. And when they realized that um, when they needed something new, but they didn't want to get rid of all these designs, they made it completely, literally a completely different show and series and toy line literally just to sell the toys that they had designed for the Transformers. So, yeah, uh, yeah, nothing. I don't know what to say about it. It's somehow smart and somehow scummy. Um, but yeah, this is how. And Jay Decker is one of the lines, one of the shows within the Brave series. I don't think that any of the series are intertwined. I think they're all completely separate series, like shows, continuities, but they're all underneath the same branding. Sort of like RID, Unicron Trilogy, and G1. How they're all under the same banner of the Transformers, but they are different series, different continuities, different universes, and I think this is how it works. Um, but yeah, this is a gift set. Uh, all these guys came together, and I don't really know what they are. Like how I know what they are, but I don't know how to explain what version of these guys are because they are much smaller than the original toys. The original toys. These guys still came out in the exact same year, 1994. Um, as the original toys, but these toys are much smaller and more simplistic. So we'll use him for an example. His name is Decker. He is the main character, or somewhat the main character. Um, but the way he transforms, sort of the bigger version of him, I think this whole front piece of the car flips out, so it flips out to become his feet, and then you turn him around, and there would be a molded chest plate right here, and I think the arms would just pull out, and then a head would flip out. But this one doesn't. He just splits in half, and that's due to the transformation to this guy, into Jay Decker, the bigger version of him. So and same thing with Duke Fire, or Duke. This guy's name is Duke. This guy pertains most of his bigger selves, his bigger versions transformation due to how he has to integrate into the fire rotor, I think. Um, you have to This whole back part of the ambulance comes down, his arms come down, and his head flips up in between the lights. So yeah, these these versions, this version that I have here today is very much more simplistic. It is a whole lot smaller. This is um this um this set, when they're fully combined, all these guys will combine. When they are fully combined, they are maybe, I'd say, maybe about the size of Sludge, Studio Series Sludge. Big, but the J rotor. This is J rotor. And whenever these two combine, which I'll get to, it's called J Decker. You know, what the show is named after. And J Decker, the big toy, the big toy, not the small version like this, the big version, um, stands like 2 pop cans high. This version will stand like, way shorter. Like this, the official versions are the bigger versions are much, much bigger. As you can tell, as I showed, that these ones don't even transform. When on the bigger versions, they do transform. So yeah, like same thing. This guy's name is Gunmax. He is non-posable. He is completely static, and only his arms move just to hold onto the handlebars, and he doesn't even hold onto them. When like this whole bike would transform into a completely different mech suit sort of thing for Gunmax. So that's how small these guys are compared to the big ones. So yeah, when I looked at it and I saw that the wheels are like stickers, I called them model kits, essentially just model kit toys that were engineered to be less like a model kit. So yeah, I don't really know what to call them. So yeah, I don't know what to call them, but enough explaining. Let's just get into it. So we're gonna set Gunmax off to the side because we don't really need him till the final conversion. So we're just gonna set him off to the side. We're gonna start with Duke and the fire rotor to make Duke fire because he is a little bit more involved in the sense of there's a bit more to do than Decker and the J rotor. So we're gonna start off with these guys. So we're gonna first start with taking, and most of these things are very, very similar to the big versions, and I will own them because I love J Decker, and I'll be talking about that. Not in this video, but later on. The whole entire show, the toy line, the whole lot. But all the things, since these smaller toys are based off, think of it like the Legends of Cybertron toys. From Cybertron, how the Optimus Prime, Megatron, and nearly all the toys there were modeled completely after the big toys, and how they share nearly every single thing except for tiny little bits and bobs of engineering that were taken out just to simplify them a tiny bit more. Think about these exactly like that. They're much smaller and they are slightly more simplistic. So for Duke Fire, you're going to split him like so, and then you're going to swing these down all the way back, hinge that down, and then you're going to come back here, you're going to swing out the fist like so. And then this is one of his arms. Same thing with this side, going to do the exact same thing, swing him out, bring that down, and there you go. So now, come on to Fire Rotor, pull off the entire ladder section. We're going to put that off to the side. Take the front cab, pull that off. On mine, it's a little creaky and stuff, and it's a little scary, but I've just found, this is basically G1 plastic. G1 Transformer plastic it's very, very tough and dense. Unless it's something very thin, like this little part, which we're going to do right now. Like with those two little pieces in there, how they're just very thin. Those are the spots where you might want to be worried about, but pulling that off, you don't have to worry about it too much. And right here, just split them by those two pegs and those two tabs. Just come back here, swing all this out, and then you'll straighten this out, flip down the foot. Put that off the side, same thing. Do that. This foot's a little loose. Is that a screw? No, it's not a screw. Flip this out. connect it in place, bring it out. So we're going to raise the camera a little bit. And now you can't slide these together. It looks like you can, but due to this little tab right here, you just have to push them together. So I'm just going to leave them straight because when I'll just put them a little bit of an A stance. And there are these two little tabs, two little slots, and they tab together like so. Now these guys, they go into those big holes like that. I just like to wiggle them in since they're a little tight. Very, very, very tight. So I just like to wiggle them in. And these guys do have a bit of a parts formery-esque, just like most of the G1 toys, because they essentially are G1 toys. And I have all these parts over here. There's this piece and this piece. These pieces, I think they're supposed to connect just, but mine, oh, there, I just forced it a tiny bit. And this tab will go into this slot, and this tab will go over this and clip onto that. So, like that. So now you'll take this, it'll plug into that big port right there. And this, and if you can't see, that this is a sword, and this is the scabbard to it. And it's on its back. So yeah, there is Duke Fire. And this is nearly identical to the bigger version. Literally identical, just bigger. Except for, Duke Fire, as I told in the chest plate, this piece, this with the cross and these two like horns, I guess you could say, they are a different piece, but they're since it's smaller, they made a different looking piece, and obviously Duke, as I told you, pointing out like the differences. So just gonna slide him off the side, and we're gonna get into Decker and the J rotor. So all you need to do for Decker is you pull this off, and I like to wiggle this up, and you'll hear it just tab into place. Hear it all tab into place. So that's all you need to do to this. So yeah, and the original toy does do this. Like there's a whole headpiece. It does this exact thing. The whole back of the car assembly comes up to form J Decker's head. But once again, since it's smaller, they got rid of the whole transformation gimmick, sort of like Duke Fire's arms. And now for the J rotor, you unhinge these panels, and now you'll flip up these toes, and he is going to be significantly taller than Duke Fire. So we're gonna raise this up, and mainly up here is where they went away from the more transformation-esque of the big toy, where this would just hinge down. It would hinge down and become the arms and then straighten out. This one, since it's much, much smaller, all this comes out. You slide these off the forearms, and now, and another big thing is this one does not have elbows. Due to the way that Duke Fire transforms, he doesn't get elbows on the big toy. But him, since most of it is contained in this big unit of the J rotor, and Decker is merely like basically the head, he can have elbows. And that's another thing that the big version does have that this one does not have elbows. And so yeah, port, peg, put it in, peg, like so. Same thing on this side. Peg it in, swivel it in. We're gonna split the legs, and now this big piece right here, these are gonna become the wings. On the big toy, there's a big hinging system that hinges this back. But on this toy, since it's once again much, much smaller, it would hinge back like this. Like there'd be a big hinging system to bring it back. obviously, once again, simplistic. So you just connect it by a peg. So there's this little track, little tab, and it goes right on top. And now this, you can see those two little tabs, and then that big peg that connects this onto it just slides right on. And then this big port goes over that peg, so you have to just carefully line it up so it looks good. So there. And now his accessories do not store like Duke Fires, so he has this gun. Just gonna put that in his hand. Then he has this baton. Another thing, on the big version of this toy, this baton is all chromed. And I want to say that this gun has some accents, but I don't think so. For some reason, I just want to. So yeah. And the only thing that this thing lacks, this version, the J. Decker lacks, is obviously those transformation steps on the upper body and the elbows. There is no articulation in the legs for the bigger version. So yeah. And Gunmax, just sits there. So yeah. Bring these guys a bit more forward. Bring it down so you can see Gunmax a bit more. So yeah, if you're not super, I just came across, I got this whole lot for, like $200 from Italy. Got it in box. The box is a little, it's in decent shape, it's good, like, it's not horrible shape. I have a Silverbolt box that is in much worse shape, and I'm happy that I have it, but it could be in much better condition, but I don't really care. If you're not too big into J. Decker or Brave in general and you like these designs, I know there's a model kit of J. Decker. You could get that model kit. I'm going to get it. But if you want one of the original toys from the original toy line, if you can find this, because it's much, much cheaper than the bigger toys, I get this. Because you can get essentially the entire cast except for the build team, and Shadow Maru or whatever, for way less. Because I love the series, the show, I'm gonna get all of them. The big toys, I'm gonna get all the toys. Not like the PVC toys, whatever. I'm gonna get the big toys. But for right now, I'm very, very happy that I have these small toys to get me hyped up for the big toys, because the big toys are huge, way bigger than these guys. But this isn't all they can do. So let's do it. We're gonna move Gunmax off the side once again, because of all the toys that really got shafted in the sense of making them smaller, it's really Gunmax, because the bigger version of him is pretty cool. He comes off and he's his own little guy, and he has a pistol and a shotgun, and then the motorcycle can turn into a completely separate mech suit for him. But, obviously, because of him having to be smaller, being in a gift set, having to cut costs probably, he gets shafted a little bit. So yeah, that's a little disappointing, but you win some, you lose some. So yeah, the next conversion is called Fire J. Decker, so we're going to combine these two together. So yeah, you're gonna take the weapons out of J. Decker's hands, and we're gonna leave all the stuff on him, and we're gonna introduce some new pieces. This big chest plate, this claw, and this drill. Because these guys, they're not like the Transformers. They're not going to war with the same species of robot or aliens or whatever. These guys are legit made to be police officers. Like, even the build team, which are construction vehicles, these guys are legit made and constructed by humans to defend the planet from, like, whatever. Obviously, it's in the modern day to where there are like alien trucks or whatever. But these guys are legit stopping like mob bosses and criminals. Obviously, very powerful, like futuristic mob bosses that have like robots. But these guys are always fighting them, so they don't need like flipping laser guns or bazookas. So yeah, we're just gonna take apart Duke Fire. Uh, we are going to need this piece, but not this piece. So yeah, and for J. Decker, we're not going to need this piece. Take this part, just transform these all the way back, like so. And this, the way this works is sort of like the sense of Victory Saber, is that, it's, J. Decker is essentially just standing on Duke Fire with a chest plate of Duke Fire. So there isn't really too much that. Oh wait, you still need the fists out. These guys will attach to the sides, and these little pegs on the inside will go inside the hands of Duke Fire, like so. We'll just peg him on right now. Do it. Ooh, I just knocked it inside. Duh, it was right there next to me. So yeah, it just goes in like that. Peg that on right there. And now he's gonna stand on some stilts, just like Star Saber with Victory Leo. Like that. And you know he got much, much taller now. We're going to move this arm up, and this big peg is going to go into that big port right there. And instead of having it on his back, it conveys the size, how big he's supposed to be. Put this in his hand. Just going to move this up, because we're peg in. I might have switched. No, maybe. I don't know. This pegs into that screw hole right there, or I think it's a little finicky. It doesn't really want to go on. Okay, I got it. Sorry. Of all the things on this toy, that I don't like is that's a little bit difficult. So just flip that down, but it's hardly even a complete. Just transform that. This just goes onto his chest like so. And now this just goes right on, like so. And this is Fire J. Decker. And he's a bit of a mess. I know the bigger toy is basically like this. I think he has a little bit more articulation since he's bigger and he has elbows. But this is not the only thing you can do. Finally, Gun Max gets to do something. Not him, the motorcycle. It's called the Max Cannon. So, I'm going to bring in this piece. This slides right over the front. And this comes out. I know on the original toy, Gun Max actually somewhat scrunches up and pegs into the back. But once again, smaller. And it's going to go into this big port back here. And this is where this toy loses all amount of posability. Which, you know, once again, like all original G1 toys, posability was not a thing. And wow, this thing is so cool. I can't wait till I get my hands on the original toys, because this is so cool. This is pure, you know, you can tell that this was designed literally of the era. Like you could tell he was designed with like the fire cons, the crankcase, the trigger cons, the pretenders, all of the 80, 87, 84 crew. You can just tell. Like, you can definitely, I get the vibes of like Star Saber and Victory Leo. Just, it's so big, so cool. doesn't need to be posable, just needs to be a big, fun, dumb toy. And this definitely shows it. And you can put this sword in this hand and make him hold the max cannon like that. And this is just so dumb. Just so incredibly cool. Um, just so cool. I I don't regret buying this because it makes me so excited for when I get the big toys, or if they remaster these toys, which they probably won't. But when I get the big toys, it'll all because this guy hyped me up for it. It's just so incredibly cool. This thing didn't need to be that. It's purely a toy. It's purely something to look at and play with, and I think that's so cool. So yeah. Um, that's really all I have to say about this J Decker box set. So, till next time, see ya.